Well, here goes another video, man. Since apparently the whole quest here has seemed to be that mankind has been pushed and deviated from actually knowing and understanding both their masculine and feminine energy. Because essentially, what this all is attempted to use as one mask, I'll just point out, is essentially I have masculine energy here fighting about how I'm utilizing my feminine energy. Where I associate with the mentality of sage mode, yoga mode, basically Bruce Lee mode. I mean, I don't know how you guys want to look at it, but if you're a gymnast, if you're if you're a runner, I should say, better said physics. Funny direction I was gonna go with it. Or if you're like, a swimmer, maybe, it basically depends how it is that you utilize the energy in your muscles, because there's two different forms of energy. If you think about the energy that you're utilizing while you're swimming, if you swim every morning, every day, what kind of energy is that? It's not making contact with the ground. You're not touching, you're not feeling exactly the gravity of the air, so you become a floating device utilizing muscles and energy within itself, as opposed to, let's just say, if you're in a gym, right? And in a gym, you're lifting weights and lifting, let's just say with both your legs and arms, so when you do, let's say, deadlifts, that's pushing up against the ground, that's utilizing a muscle. It's like saying utilizing the outside walls of your muscles in your body, versus when you swim, you utilize the inside muscles of your body. So it's like saying one of them could be working your psychic plane, because your mind has to trust being floating, and also maintaining the current stability and pace, to achieve and reach what it is that in goal it's pretty much set out and bounded towards, basically resulting in reaching and having the outcome of, basically standing on, so that's one form, right? And the other one is a physical one. So an internal form versus a physical form. I'm gonna pause this because I think I went off topic. So it basically started with masculinity. And so you've seen the entity right there, that did the explosive things they do. They're so slick, so easy to miss, because you can easily pass them up as just being yourself, And it's not even them, it essentially is yourself, because all they did is pushed you slowly to rise up, If you've ever let anything motivate you, then that's exactly what they do. Once you have tuned in the motivation, which means external factors making you move, telling you, oh, the reason you're moving is because you're motivated. I don't know. This motivation stuff is starting very, very, very kind of iffy now if you think about it, So I'm here dealing with masculine and feminine energy, right? So my masculine is the thing that's taming the feminine, This feminine energy is very still. It's like it don't require you to think, do, go anywhere. It's like it's done all the work already and it's mastered it, The feminine's been around so long, dude. You don't even know what you got a hold of. Let's put it like that, So all you gotta do is just sit there. That's how awesome feminine energy is, That's how powerful it is. So, and then what happens? Does your masculine energy begin to feel spikes? Like somebody's pulling on it, like some strings are trying to attach to it, Like somebody is trying to develop its own opinion and expression that you should carry upon the feminine impression or expression that you develop for yourself, So, again, and the masculine, it's, when it gets to a masterpiece of feminine energy, what the masculine does? It's honestly usually in awe, breath, taken. And if he isn't breathtaking, is because, again, we haven't realized this other side of ourselves that is more related towards, like, any mask that can cover it, impulse, animalistic style, I mean, they could take it in any direction. They could say, oh, it's connected to your nervous system, is one of the oldest operating systems in the world, or, I mean, who knows what direction, but essentially the whole point is that's one aspect of it, So now if I think about it in my body, that's basically me realizing that I've had masculine and feminine energy, that I've tuned in, and I was trained mostly for the masculine, because that's what they teach us supposedly, in all our doings is masculine. And in some way, yeah, because that's how we get things done. But then there is also the being able to be at home with that feminine energy and do the feminine thing, plan, prepare, make sure that, well, if you're like in stepping into the feminine energy, most women would understand if, they're married or they got hubbies or whatever the case may be, that it's like feminine energy then goes and usually should be to a certain extent, right, emphasized amongst us, already familiar in the ways we talk about it. I mean, it's basically one helping meet the needs of other so that the other can in same turn, in same way, find themselves meeting needs, and doing it all such in a way that's coherent and such in tandem that it creates a rhythm, a harmony. So and this is basically what you establish within yourself, I think, when you begin to meditate, is you realize something about that they're beginning to dance. You have this dance of energy. Like, have you guys noticed how we're dancing with energy? It's constant. Like the place where we're pushed has to be right here on our sternum, on our chest, on our heart, because this is what creates the rhythm to the rest of our body. This is a very, very important and very vital place. It's almost like we need to carry like a certain kind of like pace, or that the ab lounge, we need one of those, but for the chest, for the upper chest, because this is what creates the rest of the rhythm for the rest of the body, and if we can simply learn how to tap into this rhythm, I mean, then there is no reason to hack or be hacked. We could just do it ourselves to ourselves, and what we'll be doing is simply accessing whatever it is that this part of ourselves that most of us seem to not want to control, not be able to control, or not interested in simply figuring out what harmonic sounds or frequencies can be tuned in to make it work. Because we all know we can make things work. That's the masculine. So, and with that being said, you understand how the things inside of you flow your energy now, if you're just managing masculine and feminine energy. It's why some things sit there and try to judge people or make you feel judge worthy, and you barely even understand the concept of what it is to even hold what you hold, let alone arrive at trying to tell anyone something else. So like the way we've learned to communicate is sometimes, it's push come to shove, an extra kick, just to make sure that you get the point, like, I mean, it's like tough love version, and then sometimes, like I said, it when you're tuned into this, it works, but when you're left out of this harmony, coherence, rhythm, self-resilience and reliance upon the factors that we know really already are within us, like, I don't have to go anywhere and look for it. I know it's already here. So essentially, like, this whole time, I'm like, shifting between energies, teaching people how it's done, by focus, concentration, and then relating it in a way that establishes something. Because the whole time it's been like, I got to first convince you that I can look like this and like that, and that life can be like this and like that without you even thinking this or that, So, but essentially what I'm learning is how to send this wave of energy throughout my body. Look, actually, that was just like a shockwave. It just straightened my whole spine, and I just felt like my whole alignment just aligned, So I suppose if our bodies are rhythms, and our bodies are vibrations, then all it takes is us sending an intentional shockwave through our body, and that's what I just did. And most people have emotional variations in those kind of, expressions or impressions of themselves, So it gives you a way to gauge yourself also where you're at in that, If it's just the chakra area, then figure out what about your body's not functioning. Look at the chakra that leads you to, and all you got to do, honestly, is just practice dancing that part of your body. So all it really means is you have to learn how to dance from your hips, your waist, your pelvis. You got to learn how to dance from there. You got to know how to belly dance. You got to know how to, also pop your chest out and dance, with your chest out. You got to learn how to, even do these old, rhythms of animals, you know, in nature that it shows you, you know. It's a rhythm within yourself, you know. And what do? Where'd he go? Well, but, you know, so these rhythms, you gotta be able to establish these parts, you know, because it's waves. It's a wave within you, you know. And most of us, the place we hardly visit becomes this, let's just say, this part of our, how do I put this, you know, our come on, our lower body, dude. Our toe legs, you know, our two steppers, you know, that gets to with, you know. So, but yeah, so this is another aspect of you know, relating to yourself, masculine and feminine, you know. The masculine before, it blocked me from looking at my body, you know. I was like, my body? What body? Oh, there's no body here, huh? No, to talk about that, you know. But then the feminine, it was like, no, you can get this two-stepping, you can get to, well, you turn on some music and you see all the possibilities and potential, you know. Dance after dance, you know. Guys, go over there now. And so, you know, that's another way of looking at it, you know. Sometimes, you know, you got to be able to juggle a few things, you know. But hey, thanks for you guys' time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll talk next time.